So you're on the hook for the skid steer. Not having money in a business is like running out of oxygen.
It makes us look like bums if we're getting thrown out in 5 months.
We barely break even.
Anything, Harry.
I feel like I'm a terrible leader.
We hate HOAs. Is there things that bounce?
I'm very glad that he walked out of the room.
Because if you get hit by a bus right now, we got problems. You're just frustrating everybody. These people are all out of jobs. The only reason you're still surviving after 18 years is you have ADD and you're able to like just juggle. Oh, snap.
Yeah, that was my concern.
Just walk out now. Just leave.
Today we are in New Hampshire and we're going to visit a $1 million landscaping business. Now, although the top line revenue looks good, the bottom line is not so healthy. A little 1% profit margin, and furthermore, there's only $11,000 in the bank account and there's over $95,000 worth of debt. Not only do we need to fix the financial situation, they're burning through employees and they're not training them fast enough to become profitable. We've got to fix these problems and get this business turned around. What's up, brother?
Guys, you want to meet up in the office or here?
Which direction you want to go?
Up in the office.
Whoa, that Bobcat. That's $100,000. Ho, ho, ho. Someone's in trouble.
Hey, so I have like one responsibility that I couldn't move around this morning. It's dropping my daughter off at daycare right down the street.
Totally
I
fine.
don't know if you guys want to scope guys coming in. You'll stay here and just kind of
you thinking like 20, 30 minutes or what are you thinking?
No, like 10.
I roll up on these episodes and owner has a really nice truck. It's just all I can do inside of me. All I can do. They'll be like, hey, what are you doing? It's not loud. All right. Let's go check out the shop. A lot of times I see business owners buying fancy trucks or equipment mostly to sort of prove to themselves and show the fruit of their labor on the exterior by getting all these nice flashy things. However, I don't always think that's the right business decision. So when I see the skid steer, knowing what I know on the back end, it just makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you the fastest way to tell the stories. I went to high school right next door.
You went to school there?
I went to school there, got introduced to a landscape program,
Oh, wow.
married a girl in town and like didn't move very far. Fast forward years down the road, I ended up starting my own thing while working at a different company, and I just rented a truck and trailer spot here.
Okay.
And then eventually took this over, and our biggest clients are homeowner associations, 55 plus communities here in town.
Got it.
That's, I guess, what we're kind of known for now, and we're trying to just be the best in Hudson.
Well, do your thing in the morning. Feel free to get the guy started or whatever, and then we can, chat up at the office or whatever you want to do.
They're going to be like more weirded out that I'm here because if someone.
Oh, you're usually not here in the
Will
morning?
has taken over to be. I'm almost like an absentee owner in the morning at least.
Okay.
Because I've been dealing with him and he kind of deals with the guys. I guess I'm not talking bad at all about him, but the problem is he won't ask me for help because he's a really good leader. He's ex-military and like
Cool.
the world could be burning and he's just like, I'm going to get it done and get it fixed. Last fall, I got pretty frustrated and we pretty much cleaned house and we had some help, hired somebody to help me with the hiring and interviewing process.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically started over and I was like, I'm not gonna let stuff go the way that it was going. And it's been a really good year, but I guess that is just the thing is I've got these great people and it's like, how do I fill them in on all the stuff that's going on?
Right.
Coming in for client communication and all that.
Losing your entire crew, having to sort of clear house, get a new office manager, a new general manager, all in 1 year can be very scary. And despite all of that, Jake's grown his business by like 20 or 30% each year for the past couple years because he's got these great snow contracts and commercial contracts that he continues to sell.
The HOAs are tricky because we
hate HOAs. There's so much work just to manage the account.
We do a good job at them, but like we just got one this year that I shared within the email that they gave us a 3-year agreement, and there was change in management in my company, but we were just ready to sign a $42,000 piece of paper for a skid steer for their association, and literally I was like, hey, to the guy at Bobcat, hey man, I can't make it today. He's like, no problem. And then I got a termination letter. And I was like, I've been communicating with you guys like daily. I drive through here on a regular basis. You guys made an agreement with me for 3 years. Like, what is the just cause?
Because you were 5 months in already.
Yeah, and they said, oh, well, there was like weeds in the beds. I'm like, but every time you called, we went there, we sent a crew. Every problem I've answered. I go, we record all of our phone calls. We have GPS. Like, we have all this data. And like, I don't know what to do. To either Like, you're gonna look like a jerk suing people that are on 55 plus and that type, your reputation. But at the same point, what does it do to my reputation on the street when I've been taking care of one on that same road for 12 years? I told all the neighbors, hey, look, we just got this new contract here, and we would love to take care of your place. It makes us look like bums if we're getting thrown out in 5 months, and it makes us look like we don't know how to do our job.
Now, when I looked at the balance sheet that they sent over prior to us coming, I never saw the skid steer on the balance sheet, and I can almost guarantee you there's debt on it, which means that $95,000 loan amount is probably significantly higher, because this is a very nice enclosed cab. I bet there's 100 grand, and the fact that now they're having to take legal action to try to recoup their costs of losing that contract is tough. So, it's just the risk you take. The skid steer now, so you're on the hook for the skid steer.
No.
Not.
I was able
You're able to get out of it?
The downfall is, I have such a good vendor up the street. They're treating me like a $20 million a year company. I bought a machine, was financed for the machine. They brought it in. They said, Jake, I can't sell you this machine. It's a piece of garbage. They go, we're going to give you a newer machine with less hours for the same price. So I've got like the deal of a lifetime that I have to walk away from.
At least they let you out.
I know, but I'm telling you, it beats. I guess it's
because they did all that for you.
Ego, but like it's really crushing to go in, even though it didn't really hurt anybody, and they're going to sell the equipment to go in there to the salesman and be like, man, I can't take this machine, and
especially when they're treating you good.
Yeah.
How many kids you got?
Just one. So that's another story is my wife and I just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. We've tried for 9 years.
Really?
Doing IVF and all that stuff.
Good for you.
Gave up, and then it happened. So.
Wow, man. Before I sit down with Jake, I want to understand Will's perspective on operations. He's the general manager, and he's actually served 12 years in the military, 2 of which were in Afghanistan, and now he's been working with Jake for a year. He's really pivotal when it comes to leadership, the handling of the projects, fertilization, maintenance on the equipment, and managing the employees. Like, what's the hardest part from an operational standpoint? Because I know he'll want to talk about like numbers, admin, stuff like that, but like from your point of view.
I came here and they were kind of scattered all over the place. So I'm trying to bring organization to each different facet that they have here. It seems to be working out just fine, but it's been a challenge of getting those things established. And trying to explain to Jake, we don't have to cover every service that a customer might want.
Right.
We just need to do 3 or 4.
What are those 3 or 4 that you think are like the most profitable, like, etc.?
For the condo associations, which is where a lot of the big money is in this area, they require irrigation, plowing, mowing, fertilizing, and then prunings. And so if you can encompass those things and do them perfectly, then you've locked in just about every condo that's in this area. What services outside of those 5 you just mentioned are currently being done? They were doing fertilizing through another company. Okay. And that was a huge waste.
Oh, so you're saying bring that back in-house?
Right, okay. So everything that we can, let's bring it in this company and stop, giving it to anybody else. And then anything that's outside of that spectrum, don't say we can offer it.
What are those services though, like that are being currently offered and saying we can do?
He was having some other guy come in and do like forestry cleaning, all that stuff,
and just subbing it, low margin, distracting. Okay.
Exactly, and by the end of it, we barely break
anything.
It's like that's not really worth it.
Subbing always sounds great until you start running into problems.
So, and then on some of the things, we were going negative. So like. He provides services for all the Taco Bells in New Hampshire, which is great, but then he wants to fertilize all those companies without getting paid for it. Just as an incentive to them and hopes that they'll take it. Like, I wouldn't necessarily do that. Maybe one, the highlighted one, biggest traffic area one in New Hampshire, do that one, and so they can see it, but not all 14 of them. Okay. Stuff like that, especially when it comes to aeration overseeding. That's such a huge money maker. Don't give it away for free. You do some examples, but don't broadcast it everywhere as free.
When did the office gals get in?
First one should be in by 8, and then Rebecca starts at 9.
She kind of does all the invoicing, all the number side, etc.
And that's what we were thinking that we need to differentiate, because like we're still missing like stuff going out on time sometimes, but it's the fact that she's training people. She's going to get a belt for a lawnmower. She's picking up waters at Sam's Club, like, and also trying to train. So it's like I can't hold anybody accountable for anything until I have like systems. So.
Right. This property kind of have a little bit of everything. You got offices, self-storage.
I used to run it out of my
apartment,
house, and then when we had the baby, I was forced into getting an office.
Oh, that's funny.
That was a good thing.
How's it going?
Good.
Are you Michaela?
Yes.
Good to meet you. I'm Mike.
Nice to meet you too.
Absolutely.
There was somebody in town that had lost a child to cancer. We did like a pop-up cleanup and just like showed up and did it and got like all this media attention. It was awesome. That inspired me to like figure out what I could do next, and I got into the Rotary Foundation. For me, if my business was more successful or if I had more time, like I would make sure that every Monday I was at that meeting, because they do a lot of cool stuff for the community and the world, the country, and like I just love that foundation.
Despite his faults and struggles, Jake has built a very strong team. And it's clear to me he has great intentions and wants to build up his team and his community. Before we move further, I need to know where Jake's relationship with the business stands.
I don't ever say that I hate the business, but I guess that the frustrations are with me struggling with ADD, and like I still have trouble organizing all this stuff. So I guess that's the frustrating, and it's easy for me to go back to the mower. So I have friends that are like, Jake, stay out of the field, but I'm comfortable with it. So I think that's what I'll do, and I'll let all this important stuff build up. Then it just becomes too overwhelming. And I love the winters when it's not snowing, because then I'm like sometimes pulling all-nighters, working on my business, working on the numbers, working on the stuff I should be working on 12 months out of the year. And when I start to get off track, I know it, because I start reacting the wrong way to people, or I'm not friendly to be around, type of thing. So I guess it's getting on track on the mission and that's what Will had shared with me too, is that something he missed most about the military is said like the mission was clear.
Right.
And I'm not super clear.
Okay.
I'm not clear at all.
Okay.
So
Well, admission is the first step of fixing that, so that's great.
it feels like I'm just running around in circles chasing the next problem. And
So when those problems arise, whether it be someone handling something in the office or a customer complains, for example, why is it that you have to jump in?
it's terrible when I jump in. I am like the worst person. That's how we'll lose work.
So why do they hand it to you?
Sometimes they just meddle in and do stuff like that. That's the stuff like the last customer we lost. They called on a Saturday and requested a call back on that Saturday, and for some reason it's tied to my voicemail, and I felt that I had to call them back because they asked me to. Called them back, and it ended with them finding another service provider. And that happens time after time. If I'm getting involved with an upset customer, which is terrible. Like that's not the customer service I want.
You shouldn't have to get involved. And like I'm speaking in the mirror because I'm the same way. Like I don't need to jump in with my developing team on every bug because someone complains on Facebook. And trust me, it's every hour that's happening. People tagging me, complaining, etc. I can't do that, and furthermore, I'm taking away all the power from them doing their job. And it's extremely frustrating, especially for your highest performers. Low performers, they want you to take everything off their plate. They don't want to have to take care of the unhappy customer, the yard that got a divot in it, etc. They don't want to take it. Great performers, they are annoyed as all get out when you jump in.
You don't have to tell you.
Well, since he said all the negative things about you, what's he bad at?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing, he's perfect. You will not be able to grow, keep doing what you're doing. You have a foot in sales, you have a foot in operations, and you have a foot in admin. Like, the only reason you're still surviving after 18 years is you have ADD and you're able to like just juggle, right? That is not sustainable.
Yeah, okay.
Michaela, I see you nodding your head over there. When you think about fires are like pulling them in different directions, because I've heard that like 10 times now, what are those? Is it complaints? Is it something happening in the field? Is someone not showing up for work? What are those fires right now?
All of those things.
Okay.
For the most part, I handle complaints.
Okay.
I know my guidelines now.
Yeah.
It's just the bigger things.
Right.
Where I'm like, I don't know. And there are certain services when people ask for an estimate where I'm like, I don't know how to properly price this out so we're making money.
Do you think sometimes though that like, for example, that scenario, do you think those services should just be cut?
No,
Like if it's so fringe that you don't understand them?
It's really just the bigger things like if we do hydroseed or a loan for a condo or fixing or cutting up a tree that fell in someone's backyard. It's
Brush
stuff like
cutting,
that.
all
Yeah.
that sort of. Okay. Will said the same thing.
Really?
Same exact thing.
So
No, it was perfect because like what Will says, like, hey, there's 5 services that we have to be able to perform in order to get these contracts. You know, pruning, mowing, plowing, fertilization, irrigation, right? And he thought his inclination is the things that are outside of that is where like we get drawn into things that we likely they likely bottleneck to you. Everything she just mentioned, hydro seeding, he mentioned brush cutting, cutting up trees, etc., which in my opinion is probably 15%, maybe 20% of the revenue, but it's creating like 80% of the headache. And 80% of the things that she can't handle are those services.
Stop doing it.
That's where, like, when someone's been here for a year and they can't answer service questions from a customer service center, those services should not be offered.
Right.
And this is the thing, I understand from your perspective, you want to please people, the customer, especially if they ask for a certain service, and you just want to do it for them. You're like, even if I don't make money, I just want to keep them as a customer, I want to make them happy. I understand that. That the problem is going to be, you will never either A, grow, B, not fight fires, and more importantly, you're going to frustrate your best people because they can't do their job. And instead, if you even becoming an issue for you, it should be at communication level. It's like, these are the services we offer. Outside of that, no bueno, not happening. And then it never even becomes a problem for you because it's cut off at that level. I look at it as like, you're either gonna be a 5-star Michelin restaurant and you're gonna take years and years to train people. And people are gonna travel from far and wide and think you're the best thing since sliced bread. And some people like that. They wanna be the custom guy. And then the other extreme is taking 15-year-olds at McDonald's and within a day, they're profitable for the business. And you can train them up and immediately they know exactly how to make that burger and the fries and everything. And you gotta figure out where you wanna be in that continuum. And I think a lot of us as landscape, we tilt this way too much. I want to offer this service and this, and we're going to be the best at this. Being the best is completely subjective. The best burger, well, McDonald's sells the most burgers. And it's because they've taken something that is hard and difficult, making food, and simplified it, systematized it, and said, these are the only things we do. We make that burger, that fry, and that milkshake, and that's basically it. So the goal is like either A, how do we keep people longer, or B, how do we make people profitable faster for the business? To where they can be here for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is, be trained up and be profitable for the business. When you add more services, it takes them way too long to get trained up, right? Or you're gonna silo them all, right? You're gonna have one guy that just does the taco. That scares me like crazy.
This is the guy, I call him Big Boy, and I just noticed this. He's not that big anymore because he pedals to work every
Taco
day.
Bells only.
So, yeah, he's the guy that I was sharing with. So when I was... I just don't know where we'd be without him this year.
So you do all 14 of the Taco Bells?
Yeah, it's about 13 Taco Bells, yeah.
Oh man, good for you.
Yeah, so it's every week. And the owners and the managers know me like, hey.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome,
Yeah,
man.
so they talk with Jake like, hey, I like that guy.
Because if he goes away, then there's...
He has all the information of those contracts in his head. If he leaves, you are not good words. What's your concern, like from a numbers perspective? When you think, like, if you put your tax hat on, if you're just looking at the thing, the business as a whole, the number side, because I look at it, I see the P&L, I see the balance sheet, I have certain thoughts. What do you feel?
I'm very glad that he walked out of the room. Cash flow is definitely an issue. I feel like I see a lot more money go out than it comes in, and it could just be the speed that it's coming in.
Well, it's also just the quantifiable number. There's like $11,000 in the bank. The balance sheet I saw is $11,000 in the bank.
Yes.
There is $95,000 in loans. And when you take the P&L, there's $95,000 in profit, minus out your payments, it's like $11,000 a year.
Yeah. It's just constant, constant. We're always buying new belts. We're always buying new gas cans. We're getting gas every day. We're like the guys are at the gas station every day.
Right.
In the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. It does worry me, although we've always...
Okay, it worries you. Why doesn't it worry him? I feel like I'm more concerned and you're more concerned about the numbers than he lets on. Is it just he's gotten used to it, you think?
Maybe. I just don't think he looks at it that often. So like he'll check it.
Yeah.
He checks the bank account. He checks the spreadsheets that Cycle CPA sends us.
Yep.
He looks at it, but I just don't think he fully understands it, which even I don't fully understand it.
Right.
I'm like, I might not understand all of this, but this doesn't look right.
No. Okay. I'll be honest, this morning I told him, like, some people would be closing this down because it's just like $11,000 in the bank with $7,000 in credit card debt. That's technically now $4,000 is a difference.
Yeah.
Like, is there things that bounce?
Occasionally. We've had that, yes.
Okay.
It's not always, especially in the winter. I mean, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, right.
Like, how do I know when it's time for me to get involved, or that's for them to tell me?
That's for them to tell you because they have rules of engagement that are clear and defined, right? They know when to go to Jake because either A, they don't know, or B, this is a Jake problem. You know, payroll bouncing is a Jake problem. I'll go to Jake for that. But someone complaining about credit card on file is not a Jake problem, and I will handle it. So they get rules of engagement as to when they come to you. The second thing is a system. There's two ways in my mind to make a system, right? Either system, like standardize it, which is we do the same thing the same way every time, which means you give them a standardized way of, which I think you've already done this part, estimates, etc. But there should be standard. How do we respond to someone about credit card? The standard way of responding to someone who asks for hydro seeding. No, we don't offer that service. Here's who we refer that to. It never even becomes your problem. The simplification part is also important. It's really, really hard to standardize building a house. Very complicated. Really simple to standardize and make a system around building a tent. That's simple. So the next thing is like strip all the complexity away. Training, Will. That's operations, right? Callbacks, Will. He's in operations.
Every callback goes to him and then he delegates it.
How do you know? You weren't on the job. You aren't with the guys every single day. You aren't making sure the blades are sharpened, make sure the equipment's on the trucks and all the rest. That's operations. Will figure out who needs to go back to the job site based upon who's closest the next day on the route, who has the skill set, who is the most reliable, etc. He'll figure that out. It does not need to go through you. If it's operations, it goes to Will. If it's admin, they can handle it. They're awesome. Like, I've been here an hour and a half and I know she's an all-star. I would hire her right now.
So far, we've established with Jake that juggling 3 different roles in the business, sales, administration, and operations, is not sustainable. Also, he needs to cut out all these services that are distracting him and keeping him locked up in daily operations. But now we need to focus on the main issue, and that is that there's literally no money in the bank account.
Not having money in a business is like running out of oxygen. You can't operate. But if you're not concerned about raising price, you should do it immediately. Because it is the fix for the financial problems of the business. Because I guarantee your costs have gone up more than 20% in the past 4 years. Guarantee it without a shadow of a doubt. Like, what was your base pay for guys out in the field in 2018?
I mean, it's hard to even think that far back, but
Probably
like
14
15 was good.
Yeah.
Like 15 was like a guy that's
now you got 20 and 25 and you haven't raised your prices. That's where all the money is going. And there should be standard increases to contracts. Every year, they just know they're getting a standard increase of 5%.
And just worry about being the best salesman.
The best salesman, the best quality control person, and furthermore, what you already kick butt at is a great leader.
I think I write down every morning in that journal, like, be a better leader. I feel like I'm a terrible leader. I feel like I don't. I feel like that's like I need the most help.
What's the definition of a leader to you?
I don't know, somebody that's just, now the way I'm describing it in my head is almost a babysitter. And that's not what I'm doing, but somebody that you could call on, somebody that...
A leader is simply someone who others are willing to follow. If I walk out that door and you follow me, I'm the leader. If people are willing to follow you, you are the leader. I think you do a phenomenal job at that. And I can tell that because you attract people that are outsized in their skill and care for the business. And that comes in the form of currently the 2 people I've met. And it's your operations and your admin. And you should lean on them 100%. Let them do their job.
Okay.
Because they want you to succeed. They want the business to do more money, have more money. They believe that if you make more money, they'll be better off, the customers will be better off, and the community will be better off. And I believe if you had 100 grand in your pocket instead of 11,000, a lot more of that would happen, like 10x. And I also believe that's where your heart is. Lawn care is a vehicle for making that happen. Lawn care is a vehicle for someone like Michaela to get experience on the tax side and number side. So when she goes to school, she kicks butt, right? You care so much about that, you don't even want her to think about work. That's what makes a great leader. You are a phenomenal leader. And it's proven by the people that follow you.
Thank you.
I make sacrifices for myself when it comes to the business.
Right.
Because of how much I care and like I love my job.
Right now, I think you need to raise 20%. I think you'll lose less than 10% of your customers.
Okay.
And you've already stated to me that you are kind of maxed out in that area anyways, so losing 10% of your customers would be a good thing because guess what? We won't have to go get more debt. So you need to do it anyways. And that's ultimately when you raise prices, when you hit capacity. And that's what I want to see, right? Right now we're hitting capacity of residential mowing. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna raise all our mowing customers because hopefully, which this might not happen, is you lose customers. I actually believe you're gonna lose like 5% or less of your customers. But let's just say 10%, because that's what we need. We need to lose 10%. Well, guess what? Now you're focused on sales and you're gonna go sell more jobs and you're gonna fill that 10% immediately. Guess what you do then? You either grow or you raise prices. It's very, very simple. You hit capacity, you raise prices. You hit capacity, you raise prices. Or you hit capacity, like, man, I got $100,000 in the bank now. Let's go get a couple more trucks. Boom, and you grow. And that's how you go from $1 million to $2 million. But it's after raising your prices, hitting capacity, raising your prices, hitting capacity. Now I'm really profitable. But that is the steps. 1, raise price in residential. 2, figure out those 3 areas of the business and then lean on them 100%. Stop stepping into everyone's role. And 3 is raise prices on commercial. The middle one's the hardest.
Okay.
So.
It's a lot.
I know.
As I'm wrapping up with Jake in the office, I sort of noticed Michaela sort of hovering in the background, and I felt like there was something she wanted to say, and I need to get to the bottom of it, so I asked Jake to leave the room, and I want to talk with just her and Rebecca.
Trying to learn from the great one over here?
I am.
Good
She's
stuff.
actually been teaching me a lot. I'm
Good.
picking up on things really fast, really comfy. So.
Sweet.
Just from my background, I was a manager for 2 landscape companies.
Oh, cool.
So just taking a break from field work.
Yeah. Oh, you were on the field?
I was in landscaping in the
Whoa.
field for 2 years. Yeah. So now I just wanted to take a step in office and not like start learning the in and outs of how an office runs. So.
She's actually making more than I am.
Right.
And she's under me.
Right.
Because I needed that help.
Right.
I was like, I will make the sacrifice to not take a raise, to pay someone else under me more so that they will take the job. Yeah. He was trying to make up every excuse and I was like, Jake, we need this.
Yeah.
Like there are no questions asked. We need this. We need this.
So if I was you, now taking him off the table, I would create a plan for yourself. I want X amount of money based upon what I'm gonna take off of his plate and how much money is in the bank account. And then I would present that to him after step 1. So prices are increased, I guarantee you're not gonna lose as many customers as he thinks. He's not afraid. You're gonna make a bunch more money in that first billing cycle, probably end of October. He's like, oh my word, I just made $5,000, $6,000 for doing nothing besides sending an email. That's when you present, okay, step 1 went great. We're working on stage 2 and trying to delineate and keep you out of operations, et cetera, and admin. Here's the things I think I should be taking off your plate now that I have 2. There's 2 of us. He's afraid to bring it up right now because he knows he can't afford anything else, right? So what you say is like, look, I'm not expecting anything now, but when we hit these certain benchmarks, I think it's fair that I would get paid more. And as I take these things off your plate, I'm gonna make sure that everything that I'm doing is systematized behind me. So if I take scheduling, I'm gonna create a system around it. So if I get hit by a bus, someone else will be able to do it just as good as me. And so what we do at Augusta, we say always like, leave the position, like leave the jersey better than you found it. There's gonna be a time when she moves on. There should be even better systems, more videos, better training, refining it. For the next person, you have to get through stage 1 and probably 1 billing cycle, but then that's when I would strike if I was you and be like, hey, this is the plan. This is what I expect for myself. He's not gonna push anything back on that because he wants to do that right now, I guarantee it.
What I'm more concerned about is like the fall cleanups and the aeration and overseeding.
Are those locked in prices?
They're hourly.
So we need to raise our hourly rate, like immediately.
Even for the ones that are already signed up.
Yeah, so when you send that estimate to them, what did it say? You will be charged X amount per hour?
This is our rate. For this amount of time, and anything over this goes up at this price.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, that was my concern.
Just walk out now. Just leave.
Well, like what I'm throwing up is like maybe we just wait on the mowing almost because like it's only a few more cuts.
See, I'd rather do the mowing instead.
Yeah, but the mowing isn't gonna impact the business as quickly.
I know.
Right? Oh man, let's do both.
Let's do both?
Yeah, let's just do both. Because he's already considering buying another truck for mowing.
Yeah.
So let's, because you'll probably get some new customers trickling in here and there, right? Let's just do the mowing right away. Tell him, hey, this is probably gonna hurt more than we think because we only have a few more weeks. People will just stop. They'll be like, yeah, thank you, we'll cancel for the year kind of thing. And we'll come back next spring. But hey, we got the price locked in, great. The harder one's gonna be that fall one, but we have to increase that.
Okay.
So you're saying when the estimate goes out, it says, we're gonna service you, it's gonna be X amount per hour, or are you saying it's gonna be $400, for example, and anything over like 5 hours is gonna be X amount per hour?
So like our minimum right now for a spring and fall cleanup is $439.
Okay, $439.
And it goes up every hour.
Yep.
Every man hour, I should say, because we have 2 guys. $67.
I heard 69.
We're trying to get 69 a man hour. We really need to be at 80.
It's 67.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So
and how do you determine over? Do you give them an amount of time and then anything over that?
So we send them the minimum. And we're like, if you want to lock in at this amount of time, we will stop working at this amount of time.
Yeah.
If you want us to go more, we'll do the entire one, no matter how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
We base it, like we give them the minimum and we stop at their budget. So if they're like, okay, well, I can afford 6 hours of work. Okay, this is the price for 6 hours of work. We'll cap it there.
Okay, because you know this the best, how do you think raising that price would be best? Would it be our price has raised from $67 to $80?
I think what I would do is for this year, keep the minimum as the minimum.
I agree with that.
And then the hourly price should go up.
But the hourly price is still being factored technically into the minimum.
It is.
Okay, good.
And that's why I'm saying, even though the minimum price is going to be the same, we still raise that hourly price after the minimum.
Exactly. Well, the minimum, you're still calculating the minimum by the hourly rate.
Yes,
okay, perfect.
But we keep it at the same.
Perfect. So what you can do is you can tell customers, hey, the minimum has not changed. It's still $439, but our hourly rate has changed from $67 to $80. If you have any questions, let us know. That's it.
So after this allowed amount of time, it's going up $80 instead of $67.
Yeah. When he comes back here, if you guys have a rough plan of how that's gonna roll, because it needs to be pretty quick, because we kind of are going into the fall cleanups, and the mowing is wrapping up.
Yes.
Okay, I'll leave it up to you guys. You guys are gonna kill it.
Okay.
I appreciate you helping him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I know he does, and he just struggles internally because he can't really reward you.
Well, he helps me a lot outside of work. Like,
yeah.
My Christmas bonus, he bought me 4 new tires for my car.
Let's go.
Because I needed them.
Yeah.
So he...
That's why he needs more money. Yeah. He'll do good things. Yeah. He just doesn't have the money. Like, it's scary.
He tells me to pay for my gas on the company.
The fact that he's so positive, I'm not even gonna address it because like he's gonna keep going on regardless. Yeah. So let's fix it.
He'll push as much as he can until he physically cannot anymore and the bank account is negative.
I know. Talk to him. I'm not gonna bring it up about the conference. I'm happy to do all of that. And if there's more people coming, I'll get a third room if needs be. It's in Louisville. It's 2 days. I think you guys will enjoy it.
I think that'll be really awesome, and
I'd love to see you guys.
Especially after this, I think he'd love it.
I'm confident that Jake, Will, Michaela, Rebecca, and the entire team at St. Laurent Property Maintenance will make the changes necessary to turn the business around, put more cash in the bank, and get the business on a profitable trajectory. If you want to meet people like Jake and his team, come to Landscape Summit 2023. It's coming up soon, and you can get your tickets at mikeandys.com/summit. I've been preparing 8 keynotes, and I've been spending a lot of time getting these ready to be able to share with all of you as business owners. Furthermore, there's over 10 other speakers that are gonna be speaking on stage, and there's gonna be hundreds of other landscape business owners that you can network with and learn from. I look forward to seeing you there, and you can book your tickets today by going to mikeandys.com/summit.